My name is Cassidy Burks, and this is my audience.
Get yourself.
And today I'll be talking about why college athletes should be paid. Imagine working full-time, going to school full-time, and excelling in each area, giving all your best efforts to be successful in every field, and not getting paid for any of it. For many years, a constant debate of whether college athletes should be paid or not has arose. For more often than not, each athlete that decides to continue their athletic and academic careers has more than likely put countless hours of hard work to not only into working to get into college, but working to give themselves a chance to continue their once-in-a-lifetime dream. On top of the hours of classes they must take to maintain their scholarships, each athlete must put in so many hours of practice, studying, and rest as well. Broken down on average, most junior colleges require a student to maintain at least 12 hours to receive any kind of scholarship. Some states offer scholarships that will pay for at least the tuition of the college if the student maintains a certain grade point average and must be enrolled in a certain number of classes as well to maintain the hours enrolled at the college. On top of these scholarships, many junior college students attempt to keep the athletes have more. Junior college athletes usually must maintain a 3.0 grade point average, and if they are offered academic scholarships, they will often have to be enrolled in at least 12 to 15 hours of courses. That averages out to be about 4 classes a semester, sometimes 5. If each class lasts nearly an hour and a half, that is about 12 hours of classes a week. Most junior college athletes have practice for at least 3 hours a day, mandatory study hours for about an hour and a half, finding time to eat and finding time to sleep. If there are 168 hours in a week, approximately 12 hours are taken away for classes, 49 hours a week for sleep, about 7 hours a night, although most college students average about 4 to 5 hours a night, 10.5 hours for mandatory team bonding time, and about 10.5 hours for eating. Total, that is about 82 hours taken away from an average week. This does not include studying, when most college courses require at least 3 to 4 hours of studying a night. But for those needing to maintain academic scholarships, even more to maintain an AB average. Scholarships for those wanting to play an athletic sport at college level are considered a positive, and they are. By all means, nobody would ever believe a scholarship to play ball in college and live out the dream of the young athlete they once were dreaming of being is a bad thing. The expectations from these individuals are another. Rutindo Chimbaro, a second-year student athlete at DePaul University, a D1 university, gave an insight into her average day as a college athlete. Waking up at 6:45, Chimbaro is going nonstop, beginning the day with mandatory weightlifting, having a little over 2 hours to eat and to rest total in the day, ending the day at midnight whenever she finishes homework after working since 8:30 at night on each class's homework, and doing it all over again the next day. The way most college athletes view their scholarships is the good outweighs the bad, as Chimbaro. And this may be true, but the scholarships do not grant the achievements of the scholars themselves near enough what they are worth. According to ULoop, a contributor sent in his experience with being a college athlete football player. He begins by explaining being a college student athlete is no walk in the park. He talks of how instead of a 3-month summer break, his was 10 days. The only option to optional summer workouts is the option of if you want to play or not the next season. He continues by explaining by being a college student athlete is no walk in the park. He talks of how He continues by explaining the daily routine of summer, waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning just to watch film, work out, practice, go to meetings, and eat lunch and dinner combined lasting less than 4 hours, and how they would wake up and do it all again the next day. Summer workouts turn into fall workouts, which are not optional and are more imperative. Although some time is taken away from the workouts and practices and meetings in exchange for classes, which is not allowed between the hours of 2 and 7 because those are mandatory practice hours. After practice ends at 7 o'clock at night, the athletes must eat dinner, finish their schoolwork, and get ready to do it all again the next day. Stated in the Cooper article, Amy McCormick said, "Athletes don't have a free choice of what major they take if the classes conflict with practice schedules. I have personally heard of a student having to expend their time at certain colleges just so they wouldn't miss practice and suffer the consequences. In doing so, they had to extend their time at the college and add a semester, giving the college more money." Pulled from the Greenlee article, since they, being the student athletes, don't have time to work, it's, being their scholarship, the only way they can receive money without breaking NCAA rules. The NCAA rules for student athletes is if the student is paid anything for acts other than the work they physically completed themselves, they become ineligible to play. According to Jay Coleman at ncaa.org, full scholarships cover tuition and fees, room and board, and course-related books. This obviously does not include food, clothes, entertainment, and other expenses college students must consider. Although this may not seem like much, just take into perspective how much the NCAA makes. According to college football's most valuable teams, Texas A&M jumps to number 1. Texas A&M brings in a revenue of $148 million and a profit of $107 million. The Texas Longhorns bring in a revenue of $133 million and a profit of $87 million. And the Michigan Wolverines bring in a revenue of $127 million and a profit of $75 million. And student athletes are not given enough to cover some of the most basic expenses, struggling with their financial statuses like every other college student. According to the article, college athletes are worth millions. They should be paid like it. Damon Jones, a Stanford graduate, argues, "You demand professionalism, pay professional salaries." And he is not wrong. Student athletes are demanded to look, act, speak, and play to their best abilities, representing the colleges and universities they attend with the utmost pristine behavior, while maintaining and balancing their impossible schedules in academics. Student colleges should be paid for their playtime, looking at the sport they play as a job instead of an activity. Student athletes are taken advantage of because they look at the opportunity to continue playing the sport or sports they love in college as a victory because their dreams do not have to end. It is honestly a shame how anyone can believe the work these athletes put in is any less of those of a professional athlete on top of their studies. Thank you.